Hello, welcome back to the PoddiMouths podcast. I am Peyton Cubic, and this is where my dad and his friend John talk about random stuff in life or the things they found on the internet. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode as much as I did. Here they are now.
So I had a very interesting couple of days, since yesterday. So we're back on our regular schedule, folks. So it's 10 a.m., 10:05 a.m. on a Saturday.
Central Time.
Still haven't gotten my my CSA this morning, which is what I usually do.
What?
But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
Okay.
So yesterday, John.
Yes, Nick.
We got an offer on our house.
Oh,
First offer.
how about it?
It's not great.
Oh,
Not great.
I was wondering about that.
So
Good news
bringing
is,
everyone back up to speed who doesn't already know.
Yep.
We have priced our house very competitively. So I would say if we took the average per square foot for our area, we are well below average. We're about $50,000 below the average house.
Mhm.
These folks had a house that they put on the market in our community, and it was on our list. It was in our price range. It was on our list, and Jen actually went to look at it. I didn't look at it because I was at work, and they were on the market for a day, and they already had an offer that they actually ended up declining. So we were trying to get in there to see if we wanted it and make an offer. And I kind of drug my feet because I didn't have a good feeling about everything that was going on. So luckily that was a good thing because they had an all cash offer come in between the time they canceled that one. We were about to put ours in, and this other group put in a cash offer. So anyway, they priced their house at, numbers wise, they were at $338 per square foot, and their house was only about 1,400 square feet, something like that, something around that. So it was a very small house, but immaculately done. I mean, like they put in a lot of Viking stove, very, very high end. So they could easily fetch that price for it, but they're $50 or more, $75 more per square foot than everyone else in Bellevue, our part of Nashville. So we're priced very low. We're $228 a square foot in Nashville, which equates to for our square footage, about $50,000. Now our house isn't bad. It does need a little TLC, but it's not. If you walked into other people's houses in my neighborhood, we still have higher end, very nice stuff. Our backyard, our floor plan is one of the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the biggest, and we also have the biggest lot in the whole neighborhood. Plus, we back up to a farm, so no one's going to build behind us. That farm isn't going anywhere. So we have a lot going for us, but we still priced it aggressively because we want to sell, right? Not insanely aggressive because we don't have to, but anyway, so these folks submitted offer, which would have been really funny if we got theirs because we would just swap, right?
It was a house swap. I thought you were talking
it would have been a house swap,
okay.
But we didn't end up getting that one. But they came in and offered us $60,000 below asking price.
Ooh, okay.
$60,000.
Well, I mean, if you're asking 2.5 million, that's no big deal.
Right. We're not asking 2.5 million.
Okay, got it. Maybe you should be.
We should be. So yeah, I mean, it was like, are you serious? I mean, I understand, and they did all the work on their other house, so they would come in and do the same thing to this house. One, this neighborhood isn't going to support that level of work, that level of stuff, because it would be the nicest house in the neighborhood. So.
And pricing as well. I mean, pricing goes along with it if you're gonna
exactly
do that.
So. And that's what I mean. You know, they're going to put all that work into this house to make it look like they are their other house, which is going to be fantastic for whoever gets this house next. I mean, it's a great house. Yes, it does need some updates. They're going to do a great job, but not that good a job. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. $110,000 below the average. Granted, they probably will put $100,000 in, but they're going to do that over 5 years.
But that's not your fault.
It's not my fault.
Yeah,
no. So
flippers.
I mean,
I mean, if they're high end flippers, it sounds like, right?
It sounds like, yeah. And if they're going to if they were going to go 20, 30 grand below,
Mhm.
that'd be a different conversation.
Mhm.
But 60 grand below, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not. Our real estate agent talked us out of flat out rejecting the
Mhm.
offer.
Mhm.
We have
So
until tomorrow at
you're gonna
5
counter?
to decide. We are going to counter, but we're
Okay.
going to counter. I mean, we can't. First of all, we can't go that low. If we want to buy another house, we can't go that low.
Sure.
Now, is there wiggle room in our price? Yes, of course there is.
Mhm.
So we will play with our wiggle room, but we're not going that low with the expectation. And this was, and our real estate agent had a couple of really good, insightful points.
Mhm.
One, this happened yesterday, so we have today and tomorrow to see, because we have other people that are interested. They just haven't submitted an offer yet.
Yeah. Okay.
To have those folks submit an offer and see if we get something, because it's a better negotiation tool with that if
No
you already
doubt.
have an offer in hand.
No doubt.
Right? So that was a good point, and we're like, okay, so we'll sit on it until the last minute. And then she also said, instead of rejecting, because that's just a rejection outright, and the folks will probably just walk away.
Mhm.
She's like, counter with what you want, and what's the worst case scenario? They're going to walk away.
Yeah.
Either way, they're probably going to walk away, but at least you made a point and said, we're not just going to say no, but your ask is ridiculous.
Well, and this is, we used to do this all the time when negotiating in the car business, that you
Mhm.
would, and I would say this as a sales consultant, I'd go into the manager and get a number and come back. And if it was, their offer was way off, I'd at least say, well, at least you found out what his bottom line is.
Yeah.
At least you found out where the floor is. And so you can make the decision from there. But yeah. And it's funny because in that situation, it's not dissimilar. In that situation, you'd come back and they make you a ridiculous offer, and I'll take it in, and I'll come back and I'll shake their hands and say, sorry, he won't do that. And then just shut up.
Yeah.
And then and I've had maybe 1%, 2% of the people will stand up and okay, thanks anyway, and they'll leave. But the vast majority say, well, what will he do? And then, of course, you just made me the offer.
That's it. It's funny you say that, because that was my initial reaction.
Yeah.
Let's just say no.
Mhm.
Let's just say no. And exactly what you said, just say no and shut up and see what they come back
But
with.
if you're not in the room with them, you don't have that power.
Yeah,
sadly.
exactly. And that's what my real estate agent was saying.
That's why
too,
real estate's different. Yes. There's
exactly.
No doubt.
Yep.
But anyway, it's that sort of a mindset. But if you come back at your floor, at least you know where we are. And if you can make it work financially, awesome. If you can't, thanks anyway.
Exactly. And I, we have different floors because, here's the floor if we want to buy land and build.
Right.
Here's the floor if we just want to flip into another house or townhome.
Sure.
Here's the floor if we just want to get out and.
Well, and that's what you're going to have to decide.
Rent. Right.
What it is, because, if they say no to one or no to your upper floor, then, you go, well, how about this floor? And it doesn't really hold water, and they'll, stick to their offer probably. But anyway, some flexibility. Who knows? They might say yes.
You never know. You never know.
And if they're flippers, they're going to come in low anyway, because why wouldn't they?
Right.
What's the worst you can say is no. And, but no with a counter at least gets, them in the ballpark.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, I hope that goes well for you. That I know you've been waiting patiently, and that is like an emotional roller coaster when you're talking about that much money.
Yeah. You know how Joe Rogan always says never read the comments? My thing is I constantly, and I shouldn't do this, I'm constantly getting alerts, like sales alerts for houses around.
Yes.
And I think I know I've mentioned it to you. I don't remember if I mentioned it on the podcast or not, but all the houses that are, $100,000 less or less. So if you take our house and went and looked at houses that are $100,000 or less from there, they all sit on the market for a week and they're sold. All the houses that are $1 million plus are the same. They're selling within 2 days. You should have listed it at $1 million. Everything between, let's say, the 550,000 and the 1.2 million. Let's just say $1 million. Make it easy. Everything between that 500,000 and $1 million is just sitting
Mm.
because it's either too expensive for most people or it's not fancy enough for other people.
Interesting.
Or it's not the right part of town, or whatever the factor might be, because they can afford 1.2 million. And very few of them are like these folks who are flippers and can go, that's a X number or an X price house, and I can put $100,000 into it and it'll be, what I want it to be, or 200,000 or whatever. And we're just in a weird, I think we're just in a weird area with the economy the way it is, and with people just,
Yes.
And that's why it's taking so long. Because every house that's in our price range is taking that amount of time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic down here too. Same. And there are many new houses. Some are just they have a foundation and that's it, and they've been sitting that way for months and months and months. Some longer than months. We've had across the road from us, and it's kind of a country area, so you don't really see it, but there have been 10 stacks of cinder blocks, like the size that would make the house itself, the lower outside of the house. 10 stacks of them, they've probably been there for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Like, well, okay, well, if you're a builder and you're going to build, that's just sitting there. I know it's not like cinder block is expensive, but
right.
It's just weird that you see some houses in weird situations. There's one up the street from us, mile and change away. And I don't even know how to describe it other than it looks like an art facility or something, some sort of a studio. It's massive, 4-car garage. It is probably 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. And they just built out the lot next door too. I don't know what that's going to be, a carriage house, or I have no clue. But this is clearly somebody who sold, I'm guessing in California, made a boatload of money, and now they're building this massive place and paying cash.
Yeah.
Good for them. It is a block away from a strip mall. Not even, you can see the strip mall from the front door. And I'm like, why would you buy a lot like that and put that massive house on it? I just don't understand. You could go a mile away and be in a nice, a quieter area. And I guess they wanted to be close to Walmart. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it.
What the heck?
Hey, do me a favor.
Sure.
My buddy just texted me and he sent Forrest Gump waving.
Oh.
So can you wave? And I want to take a picture.
Of course.
Oh, you move your hand just a little bit closer to your face. There you go. Come on, phone.
You wanted me to cover up my face, didn't you? Move your hand a little closer to your face. Perfect.
So, folks, I know I told John, but I don't remember if we had recorded or not. I've got a friend in town who he was actually in our wedding, and he's a good friend of mine, and came down from St. Louis for the weekend with his girlfriend. So we're going to be we spent some time together yesterday. And
awesome.
Going to go spend some more time with them today. But they were supposed to text me early this morning. And now his name is Dan, folks. Dan is an early riser, always has been.
Oh.
His girlfriend, not so much. So it's now 10:19, and that was the first time I've heard from him. I was expecting a text at like 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was up at 6. So not purposely, but sometimes a guy's got to do what a guy's got to do.
Yep. And that's what the women will rule the roost.
Yep.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Oh,
that's funny.
Well, that's cool. The house stuff, at least there's some activity, and that's got to be rewarding, even though it's not, what you want, but it's close.
It's that's the discussion, because Jen she could see that I was a little defeated with that. And, I said, I'm not necessarily all that disappointed. I wasn't going to entertain it anyways, but it is taking a lot longer. One, it's taking a lot longer than it's ever taken for us to sell a house. And it hasn't even been that long, folks. We've just never had a problem. We've never had to sit as long as we have.
Same.
And it hasn't been that long. It's only been a little over 2 months. So it's not like it's an incredible amount of time. I see other properties sitting on the market for years. I hope we don't have to do that. Actually, we're already decided when we're going to take it off because we're like, at some point it's just going to be a little bit ridiculous, and we're just going to say, enough is enough. We don't need to. We'll reassess and do some different things.
How many showings have you had?
A lot. So we've had 4 or 5.
You've had open houses.
Open houses.
But how many?
Yeah, and the least
appointment showings.
The least 4 or 5.
Oh, okay. All right. So you've had some.
But with our open houses, the least traffic we've ever had was 2 families that came through.
Okay.
And the last one, and this was the last open house, and that was where this family walked through.
Okay.
Then they set up an appointment for the next day to walk through again.
That's
so
amazing, though, that you were looking at their house. Did you recognize that from the start, or did your agent tell you?
No, we got a little insight later.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
They made mention of what they were trying to sell. So
got it.
But
that's an interesting concept. I haven't heard of that. Flippers usually do not do high end stuff. They usually do what makes them the most money.
I don't think they're true flippers. I think they just enjoy buying a house and fix it. This last house they had, they lived there for 5 years.
Oh.
And they fixed it up while they were living there.
Got it. So they're not your traditional flippers then.
They're not your traditional flippers now.
Got it. Okay.
Kind of like my father-in-law is the same way. Every time he moves into a house, granted, he's semi-retired, so he wants something to do. So what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to fix up the house.
That's awesome.
Go replace the bathroom.
Yeah.
Not just replace the faucet in the bathroom. No, I'm just going to tear out the bathroom and redo it for the 3rd time. You know.
Yep.
I get
that.
And they did I'll send it to you later. They did a phenomenal job on that house. But still, I thought it was that, and part of the dragging of the feet was it was just still a little bit small for me, which is funny because we're downsizing. And I think we did talk about that on the podcast, how we're looking at things and we're still in our mindset of comparing it to this house. So we walk into a primary bedroom and, look around and go, this is way too small. But then we look at ours and go, this is way too big.
Yes, exactly. But trying to
especially
get your head
because
around that is tough. Yeah.
And especially because we took all the furniture out. So the only thing that's sitting in our bedroom right now is our bed and 2 nightstands and the dog bed, of course.
And there's all kinds of room.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we had a couch in there and a TV and it's all gone. So it's not gone, folks. It's in storage.
In storage, yes. That though means that you've got lots of stuff.
Yes, you have lots of stuff. That's what happens when you have a house that can fit lots of stuff.
I'm with you. We had one.
All right. Last thing about the house. Did we talk about last week the spring in my garage door?
I don't.
The fact that it snapped. So.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's dangerous,
our bonus
man.
room where we watch TV is above the garage.
Okay.
Jen and I were watching this. This was last Thursday.
Should have been a horror movie, and then it snaps.
Right? Yeah. This was. No, we didn't. We didn't talk about it because we didn't do a podcast.
No.
So we did. It happened last Thursday, and I was planning that next morning to take the truck to get fixed. Because I did tell you about the battery issue.
You did.
It was thankfully just the battery. We replaced it under warranty.
And it's fine.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was good news.
Yeah.
Nothing else wrong with the truck, which that's it. That particular brand doesn't necessarily usually have many problems that can't be fixed quickly and easily, unless it's got a CVT trend. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah. If not, just go to Reddit and look for any of the OPs are talking about that particular thing. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, so we're sitting there and we hear this loud bang. It's like 9 o'clock at night. It sounds like a gunshot.
Oh man.
That's how loud it was. Peyton was up in the shower. So of course I run and go and knock on the door and are you okay? She's like, yeah, why? Okay, never mind. And I'm searching around the house. I went outside, in the garage, couldn't find anything that was wrong. And then I look up at the springs, 2 springs, because it's a 2-car garage, 2 springs, and one of them is snapped and moved over to the other side.
Oh my gosh.
So
thank goodness you weren't in there.
Yeah. Right. And so I looked for different people to fix the spring and very disappointed at how expensive. First, I looked up how to fix it. So I thought, okay, well, I'll fix it myself. And then they show you, there are plenty of YouTube channels about how to fix it, but everyone's
Don't
like, yeah,
do
you
it.
don't want to go
Nope.
get a professional to do these springs.
Yep. Good advice.
So I found a great guy, and you and I working where we do and what we do,
Mm-hmm.
this was probably the best customer experience for me
Nice.
that I had, because the first two that I looked at, I went to 3 and got quotes from 3.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 that I looked at, their whole website, and folks, my wife has on her website, it doesn't really have pricing information or anything, and you have to submit a lead to get
Mm-hmm.
a call to. So I understand, it's that type of thing, but there are different mechanisms on her site that you can communicate with her without having to talk to her,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can just email or chat and stuff like
Yeah.
this. Well, the first 2, nothing on their website allowed you to do anything but call.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't have time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in my office. I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to submit a lead, get an email or a call,
Have
or
them
not even a
follow up.
call, just an email or a text or
Yeah.
something. None of these folks would do that. I finally found one, Von Hoffman Garage Doors, I think. They're all over. I mean, it's a big, and they have franchises.
Mm-hmm.
And the gentleman I worked with, his name is Thomas. I shot a lead
Mm-hmm.
through the system, and it wasn't 5 minutes. He emailed me right back and answered every question that I had.
Nice.
And then I had a couple more questions, like, how much is this going to cost? And this and this, and when's the earliest you can be there? 5 minutes later, answer.
Nice.
Like, perfect customer experience. I said, this all sounds great. Here's what time can you be here? Because I did that on this Thursday, so the day before yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what time can you be here tomorrow? Because he said he could be there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me 2 times. I picked one, and he was on time.
Wow.
Because he said, I'll be there. Well, okay, so he wasn't necessarily on time. He gave me a window. He said between 8 and 10.
Okay.
And I said, perfect.
2-hour
8 and 10
window
is
is
fine.
very workable.
Yep.
A lot of places do like the, between 8 a.m. and, 3 p.m. or something
Yep.
like that. Thanks.
Exactly.
Let me just give up
At
my day.
7:50,
He
texts me and says, my
Unbelievable.
GPS says I'll be there by 8:15. Perfect.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. It's perfect. And I mean, very communicative, extremely nice, extremely fast, to the point where so he gave me a quote of, depending on the damage in the spring that he has to use, because obviously he hasn't seen it yet.
Yep.
He said it's probably going to be anywhere between $300 and $500. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I ended up spending $700
Okay.
because he was so good, so fast, and he's walking through and he's explaining everything to me and why. He said, you don't have to, but this would be a good idea. And I'm like, you know what? Go ahead, do it. So I got the spring replaced. I guess from a inspection standpoint, which I don't know why we passed the first time, but the bar at the top that holds the spring was too high. So he had to lower that.
Oh.
And then he took my sensors, which I did, and I admitted to that I put them in there. He said, that's not where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So he moved those. Then, and this is where the extra cost in, he replaced all of my rollers on the door.
Oh, nice.
And he was done in 45 minutes. He did all of that in 45 minutes.
Wow.
And it was a
look
phenomenal
at the other
experience.
door too?
I only have one door.
Oh, I thought you said you had 2.
No, I have a 2-car garage, one big door.
Got it. Okay.
So, which that was a whole other story, because the Jeep was in the garage and I had to lift the garage door. I did not know how heavy those doors were. I didn't know how much those springs actually helped.
You want to know what's even more interesting? Not more interesting than your story, which is amazingly
Sure.
interesting.
Yeah.
But the Hurricane garage doors that we have,
yeah. Oh, I bet
twice
they're
the weight. It's
seriously
incredible how heavy it is. I could barely budge it. And it was, So look that bad boy up, because we're definitely going to need that. Yeah, it's not like
hopefully
it's
you never have a spring break.
Exactly. Well, that, or if the power goes out, it's not.
Well, even when the power goes out, though, the springs help.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. But it's crazy heavy, even with the spring.
It's crazy heavy.
I haven't seen it. I don't think I did anything with it without the spring. So with it on, it's heavy. So I can only imagine without.
It's nuts. It's nuts. But anyway, great experience.
Cool.
Thomas
awesome.
was fantastic. We had a great conversation. He was showing me, because we were talking about cars.
Yeah.
because the Jeep was sitting out, and he was saying that looked awesome and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I, of course,
Where are your ducks? Did he say that? Where are your ducks?
And he was talking about the fact that he used to put sound systems in cars, and then I brought him over to my lease car, which has an incredible sound system, and he was very impressed by that. So we had a great conversation, and but again, he was only here for an hour, got everything fixed, and the payment was easy. It was like boom, boom, boom. Gave him a great review on Google, and now the door is the quietest garage door I have ever had in any house that I've ever owned.
Nice.
I mean, you can barely hear. And I used to be able to, like, if the garage door opened, if I was in the bonus room, I would know when Jen got home from work because it was, because I could hear it. Can't hear it. Can't hear it whatsoever.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
that's nice.
Those are my two big stories.
But I like the good experience thing because, I mean, you're right. You and I are very sensitive. We're very sensitive to that just because it's an easy fix. It's just that most people aren't aware of what they're doing wrong. They've done it one way for so long. Oh, here's the only way you're going to, all our customers call us. Yeah. How many do you think you're missing that don't?
Exactly.
Seriously. That's always the question. The really expensive business is the stuff you never knew you lost.
Yeah. You're 100% right. Yeah. It is just, it even makes it worse that if, luckily with these, I got an answer every time, but what happens when you can't get to the phone? And you've got other mechanisms to respond to people. Now, I did, obviously, because he texted me, I did end up giving him my phone number, but that was for things like I'm on my way, or something's happened, I can't get there, but I didn't want to talk to anybody until I absolutely had to. And I think there are a lot more customers that are like me.
Well, at work, especially,
than the other way.
Especially at work. I mean, you're in the middle of something and I don't have time to take calls or what have you. It's allow the customer to choose how to interact. We shouldn't have
exactly.
This is what we offer. Screw that. Here's what I want. And that's
and this is, it's not like I sit I don't have my own office either. That's the other part.
Right. Other people
I'm in a bullpen. I'm in a cube farm. So I don't really want to have these conversations about, and I'm weird about it. I know no one really cares. My job doesn't care. You have to get some life things done while you're at work. But I just don't like doing that.
Agreed.
When I'm at work, I want to be at work. I don't want to be handling life stuff. So for me to actually have to pick up the phone and talk to somebody about my garage door is not something I want to do where everyone can hear me and hear my business, right? Especially when someone tosses a $60,000 less offer on your house and you just want to start swearing at the phone and go,
nothing happened.
Are you thinking? Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Not that we don't drop F-bombs right and left anyways, because it is the car business.
Well, car business doesn't allow for that.
Yeah.
Except when customers are around. Don't do it in front of customers.
Got a great story about that. I was training somebody once in a BDC. He was a salesperson, but we always brought the new salespeople into the BDC to take calls and things like that. And he got a little too comfortable after training. And he's one of those people that every other word he says just naturally is the F word.
Yes.
And he started talking to a customer and he's like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Luckily, he sold the car, but, it was like, holy
F.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
and I told you this, but I played golf in a golf outing from my high school, and it was like a foundational thing. And I took a couple friends from the town we lived in, and one happened to be my pastor. And there's this old kid from high school. Hey, F-bomb, 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 F-bomb. And I'm looking at my pastor. Craig is just the coolest guy ever. I'm looking at him. He's kind of getting this little smirk on his face. And because he knew I wanted to say, well, let me introduce you to Pastor Craig. But then I look over at Craig and he's smiling and I looked like this and he goes, so he didn't want me to roll the bus on this guy. But whose nickname incidentally was Goober.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the
I
guy's
think you've talked about Goober before.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was painful, but you really don't know who anybody is.
You really don't.
Yeah.
So just a quick thing on names. I had a friend in high school who had a brother. So I have 4 step siblings. They're all much older. I never grew up with them. They're they're not. I'm not close to them necessarily, but they were always around. But my youngest of the stepbrothers lived down the street from me when I was growing up, and he went to the same high school, and he had a buddy who his nickname was Wingnut. Yeah,
boy, of all the ones to choose, that's a really good one,
right? So fast forward almost 20 years. Wingnut's parents had an oops and had a kid who is my age. So he's got a brother. It's a real brother. It's a full blood brother, but his real brother is 18 years older than he is.
Wow. Okay.
So I went to high school with, his name is Dave. I went to high school with Dave. And then when we found that out,
started calling him Lockwasher.
When he was Wingnut's little brother, we started calling him Little Nut.
I still think Lockwasher would have been better.
Lockwasher would have been good. Where were you back in when we were naming Dave?
Yeah, he was asked.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your new friendship. You had mentioned on our last podcast.
Which one? Gosh, I have so many friends.
The Pope's brother.
Yes, who lives in Port Charlotte.
Yeah, who has now been on the news several times.
It's unbelievable, and it's in all of my Google search stuff that I do. I have I can't think what it's called, but it searches out news articles for whatever your keywords are.
Google Alerts.
Thank you, Google Alerts, and I get those for our town, and then the next town over. Thank you, and I I do that. Sorry, my next topic is on the floor now. I do that just because I want to see, what's going on in local news and stuff. And this guy comes up, and no kidding, everyone it pulled up was Pope's brother, Pope's brother, Pope's brother. Okay, and he seemed like a nice enough guy. I saw one of his interviews, and it was fine. But okay, your brother's the Pope.
Well,
talking about when they were kids, and one day you're going to be Pope. Yeah, well, he is,
and now he's Pope.
Yeah,
he's like, he might be Pope, but he's still my little brother.
Yeah, I know. It's like, we're still going to fight, and we'll call it Pope and Dope.
Yep.
All right.
Well, the biggest the thing that and the fact that he's a huge Trumper is that's the news that we've been getting.
That's interesting.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, because I don't know as his bro is.
No, I don't think he necessarily is. Yeah.
Interesting.
I just thought that was funny.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and he's not the only. He's the only brother, obviously, that lives in Port Charlotte, but he's not the only sibling that is still alive.
I mean, 3 brothers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But one older, 2 younger.
Yeah. Well, I wish him well. That's for sure. I wanted to touch on the Jeep duck thing just quickly, if we can, again, because we've talked about it, and And that our buddy Bill sent me my own supply of these ducks, which are still in the bag because I'm not putting them on the dashboard. You know what happens? You meet people, and I know you don't do it either. You have one in your console or something.
I've got 2 in my center console.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll put them out when I feel like, if I go to Franklin, which is for those of you who don't know, this area is a high-end, swanky part of our city area. If I go like to Target, I know I'm going to get ducked anyway, so I'll put my ducks on the dashboard. But I put them right back in the.
I have not been ducked, and I'm happy about it. I'm not.
I've only ever been ducked in Franklin.
Much. Oh, okay. You should get a T-shirt that says that. I got ducked in Franklin.
It's going up into the PoddiMouths merch store that you can get to by going to PoddiMouths.com and heading to the merch store.
Well, and I also showed you the what I got as a version of my duck. Mm-hmm. Instead of having 20 of them across the dashboard, I have the actual decoy that duck hunters would use, and it is one of those. I had to cut off the bottom though so it would fit in the center. Anyway, I don't put it on there too often because I think somebody's gonna go, "Oh, this guy's just smart," and they'll break my windshield or something like that while I'm in. But you meet somebody on the road that's a Jeep. How often do you find yourself doing the little salute thing?
All the time.
Okay.
So, and I get pissed off when they don't wave back.
I do it sometimes.
Most of the
Harley.
time it's someone without ducks or someone with ducks that doesn't wave.
Someone with ducks that doesn't wave. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
I get more people that wave without ducks than I do with folks that have ducks.
I'm more focused on how clean is the Jeep and how, so we've got the monthly car wash thing. So I'm through it all the time with both of our
I did
cars.
that yesterday.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice. Want to make sure it does not dry off well in that car wash for some reason. And with the convertible top, it sprays right through the top.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I go through it, I'm like this, wondering where it's going to hit me, and it's usually in the face. Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's not like it's a fabric top, so it comes right through. Anyway, that's funny in itself. But the ducks just don't. I see somebody approach me with their ducks on the dashboard. I'm just like, that looks junky. Sorry, Jeep owners.
I agree.
It just kind of looks junky.
I agree. I am not a bit, especially if there's, I can probably get understand with a few ducks, like 3 or 4 on the dash. I think it's, but when you get the ones that are, they're like snow on the windshield, I'm like, first of all, I've only been ducked like a couple of times in Franklin. Are you actually getting ducked, or are you ducking yourself?
I think they're ducking themselves. They bought a bag of ducks, or Bill got ducks for them.
Yeah,
I'm not sure which, but.
They need to be sucking that bag of ducks.
I don't understand. And honestly, as you said, there are probably 20 of them across. Like, can you even see? I mean, at night especially, all you're getting is a duck reflection. And sounds dirty, but isn't.
A duck flexion.
Yes. And so I don't even know. I don't get it, and I'm not going to go that route. But I do have the decoy just in case.
Nice.
How come you don't have any ducks? Oh, I have one.
One is all I need, folks.
One is all I need. Yes. Anyway, that's it for me. What else for you?
Well, that's it for me. I don't really have much more. I mean, this is kind of a short sode.
Well, that's okay. You got your pal in town and his girlfriend, and it'll be fun to connect with them.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going to take him yet. They did the Broadway thing yesterday, and his girlfriend, I don't think she's ever been. No, she's never been here, and she said never again. Oh, and I said, I warned you. There's a reason locals don't go downtown.
It was just too much. Is that what she said?
Yeah. Too many bachelorette parties.
Got it.
Too many party buses.
Well, and I don't know if it's the same, but it's got to be close to in Vegas, not on the Strip, but downtown. Behind, the Golden Nugget, there's like this alleyway. I mean, it's big, and performers and just weirdness, a whole bunch of weirdness out there. And Lisa was just like, I mean, I can handle anything, but she's, I don't like this and this. Okay, all right. No problem.
If she doesn't like it, you don't like it.
Suddenly,
period.
It's like that. Yeah. What a shock.
I have never been to downtown Las Vegas, and I've been to Vegas at least 15 times.
I've only done it once.
Never been.
And same.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, same count for at least 15 times. But yeah, usually when you and I go for business, I don't know. I guess I've been there once for pleasure, but maybe twice.
I've never been for fun.
Yeah. It's usually work.
And in fact, the last time I went, we were at a hotel, and it was the first time I'd ever been at a hotel off the Strip. It wasn't far off the Strip, but it was off the Strip.
Yeah.
Used to be the old Hard Rock.
Okay.
Now it's the Virgin Hotel.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it was a nice hotel, but it was a little bit of a hike to get to the Strip.
It's always a hike.
It's always a hike. You could be a block away, and it'll be a hike.
It's right there. Oh yeah, that's really close. But that's 10 miles away. It just looks close because everything's so big.
Which is fine. I was with our buddy Matt.
So you guys are the walkers.
We're the walkers. At least 25,000 steps. At least 25,000 steps a day.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So we got to see the seedier side of Las Vegas around the Strip, not necessarily the entire city.
I've seen all of that for sure at one time.
And they were actually, when we were there, they were setting up for the IndyCar race.
Oh, cool.
That was pretty cool, seeing the stands going up.
Is it IndyCar or is it Le Mans?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I think it's IndyCar.
I don't know the answer myself. So
is it Indy? No, which is Indy? Indy is the
open wheel,
short ones with the single cab, right?
The
single cab in the middle.
Yeah.
They look like Le Mans cars.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're open.
Yeah.
Well, usually Le Mans cars sometimes have a capsule.
Canopy. Yeah.
Yeah. Canopy. Nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, well done.
That's my my fighter jet knowledge
Yes,
for the day.
Well done. The downtown,
Thanks.
one last thing about the downtown, the Golden Nugget, or at least close to it, maybe across the street. And I wish I could remember the name of the restaurant, but it was somebody Blanket and Rick or somebody like that. One
Ricky
of the
Bobby.
finest steakhouses I've ever been to. It was just,
really?
And you know how I like my steak.
Yeah.
Medium rare.
That's what I was going to say. You beat me to it.
Zoom.
I got distracted by an alert.
Oh, dang it. Anyway, yeah, great place. Nick is one of the names. Nick and Bob's or Nick and...
I know which one you're talking about. I've never been, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. I can look while you're finishing up.
Nick and Rudy's. No.
I
don't know.
But
I'll tell you that the title for this episode is going to be pretty easy. It's going to be Suck a Bag of Ducks.
Oh.
And you said something just recently. I will listen to it again. I'm sure the AI will pick it up.
Vic and Anthony's. I was wrong. It's not Nick. It's Vic.
Vic and Anthony's.
Vic and Anthony's.
I knew what you were talking about.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
I think. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
That'll be fun. Yeah. The naming of this episode will be fun.
Can't wait to see what you come up with. And
I'm just really excited about Suck a Bag of Dicks. Ducks.
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 Wow. This just took a
Where did that
turn.
saying come from, anyway?
Don't want to know. Nick does all the nomenclature, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I've been using AI a lot lately.
I have too.
Our system actually, this Riverside.fm. If you guys are ever interested, there is a link on our website to sign up for this, and we'll get a little bit of a discount, which is nice. Anyway, Riverside.fm. Once we're done recording, it actually processes everything, and then it gives me a summary. And it gives me a list of keywords. It gives me topic ideas, and it'll actually give me titles. But I don't use their titles because they're one or two words, and I do the three different words just to be funny.
Yep.
It's kind of our thing.
Yes, I like that.
But I go into the keywords, and that's where I pull all of the titles now, and that's how I pick them. So it makes things a lot easier and a lot faster.
Well, and it's like having somebody that will collaborate with you a little bit. I don't like you. I don't always use what they come up with, and I will switch between Chat and Gemini and what's the Grok.
Grok. I just started to play with Grok, and I like it.
I do too. And it's better than Chat. I'll tell you that. Chat
depending on what you're trying to get.
That's exactly right. But I was doing like mapping a trip, and I asked GPT for, what would you do to avoid this and to make this? And it gave me the worst directions. I was saying, I'll just take this highway all the way. Well, that doesn't go all the way. I couldn't believe it. And I said, but this highway does not go where I'm trying to get. And Chad comes back and says, my apologies for the mistake. And then proceeded to do it again. And I'm like, okay, I'm out. I'm trying to teach you, but you're not listening, Chad.
When I was playing with Grok for the first time, I actually asked Grok what the difference is between itself and ChatGPT. And I thought, there was a lot of information, but I'm going to use the summary because it did summarize at the end.
Thankfully.
Summary. And remember, this is Grok.
Yeah.
I'm faster, less censored, and stronger in STEM, real-time research, and quirky creativity, but I can be inconsistent in long chats and image generation.
Wow.
ChatGPT is polished, versatile, and great for structured tasks or extended conversations, but it's more cautious and less dynamic. Your choice depends on whether you want bold, truth-seeking pal, me, or a reliable all-purpose assistant, ChatGPT. Got a specific task in mind? I can tell you which of us would crush it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually. And
I thought that was pretty cool.
That's what you would hope that AI would do.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of other stuff, and
Sure.
basically what it is Grok said, I'm more sarcastic and a lot more fun. But if you're doing stuff for work, you probably want to use ChatGPT.
And that's a guy I want doing work stuff with me.
Exactly.
I can fix that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try Grok a little bit more and play with it.
Have you tried Gemini?
I have. This was a while ago though, so and I know there's plenty of updates, but I wasn't impressed.
Okay. I have
also
spent much time on it, but
yeah, we also at work. So they actually block ChatGPT.
Oh.
And I found out it has to do with the memory. So because ChatGPT keeps all of your conversations and your background as a saved piece of knowledge, the one that we use at work, which it just slipped my mind, it's the Microsoft version, Copilot.
Okay.
Copilot doesn't do that. So Copilot is allowed. Grok, you can actually turn it off. So Grok will be allowed if you have that functionality turned off.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. But
cool
we
stuff.
use
that's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Copilot. They just doesn't really do much for me.
I like how if you do a cut and paste into a document, it will arrange it nicely.
Yeah.
But and I don't think it's because Copilot is so great. I think it's because Word sucks so bad. That's seriously
makes sense.
Well, it's one versus the other. Hey, I get more business now because of Word because it sucks.
Yeah,
that's right. You sure do, Copilot. So
yep. All right, everyone. I think we're going to call it quits. We're at the 46-minute mark, which is about where we seem to get honestly the most listeners and feedback. So we're not that you needed to know the ins and outs of how our podcast works, but I figured since I mentioned Riverside.fm, I thought I might throw that little nugget out there as a piece of information.
Well done.
Anyway, folks, you have a fantastic week. John, you as well.
Good to see you, brother.
Head up to PoddiMouths.com, see all of our past episodes. Check out our merch store. Check out some of our past guests and some of their happenings, including a guest that keeps on coming for every single episode, and that is the Motorhead Chef.
Yes,
make sure that you head up there and check that out. I know some of our friends who don't actually listen to the podcast have subscribed to Motorhead Chef and do watch it. So yeah,
that's awesome.
I'll tell you who they are off screen or off podcast. But anyway, folks, enjoy. Have a great day, John. We'll see you soon.